What's up, everybody? It's Kate Hayes, aka Kate the Great, and this is my first YouTube episode. I am so excited to start this journey with y'all and take y'all on this journey to be a part of the Kate Hayes lifestyle. Okay, so for the first episode, we're gonna get into who am I, what I do, who, what, when, where, why. Okay, so my name is Kate Hayes. Don't go telling my government name if you know me like that. Anywho, okay, so I'm Kate Hayes, and I am the CEO and founder of Fiend, and I also am the author of Building Your Dreams So You Can Live the Life You Want at katehayes.com. And I created my brand Fiend. Oh my gosh, I have to take y'all way, way back, okay? So I have been doing fashion since I was a little girl, right? So I'm from New Orleans. I moved to Covington after Katrina, right? So after Katrina, our house got destroyed. So Katrina happened, and then when we came back, we evacuated. We went to Mississippi. That was the first time I moved out of New Orleans. So we went to Mississippi, we evacuated, and when we came back, everything was pretty much gone. There was no roof. The roof was destroyed. Everything, Katrina took everything. So we had to rebuild and start over, So we moved to Covington, Louisiana. We moved to the North Shore. And from there, I went to school there and everything. And then I started to get into art. So once I got into art, actually, let me go back a little bit. So after Katrina, a couple years after Katrina, my father actually got into a really bad car accident. So my father was a fiend for alcohol, hence how I got the name Fiend for my business. And so my father was a fiend for alcohol. He was addicted to alcohol, and he wound up getting in a drinking and driving accident. And so now, unfortunately, because of that accident, he is paralyzed on one side of his body. So when that happened, I was only 10 years old, and the pain was pretty unbearable, but thankfully, I just let it fuel the fire inside of me, So I started to get into the arts. I started to paint a lot. I started to paint on paper. And then after I was painting on paper, I started to actually paint on clothing, and I started to distress clothing. I started to bleach it, make little tears in it, different type of things. For 4th of July, I made these little shorts with flags on them. I wound up learning how to sew a little, like years after that. But sewing isn't really my forte. But so I got into fashion, and once I realized that I love fashion, I loved art, and then I realized I love fashion, I started to go to a bunch of different fashion camps. So I went to a bunch of different fashion camps in New York City, which ultimately led me here now. I used to come to New York almost every single summer. I don't know from what year, but I used to come to New York almost every single summer. I used to go to different fashion camps at FIT, and a bunch of other camps. But I had so much fun, and I really realized that I had a passion for fashion. And so I was like, I'm most likely going to end up in New York, at some point in my life. But I knew that I didn't want to do that for college. So fast forward to high school, that's when I had my first internship. It was actually my 12th grade year. I had a fashion internship at Columbus Street Mercantile. Shout out to Miss Kim. And she actually showed me the ropes of really like just owning your own store. And she has 2 stores, one for the juniors and then one for a more mature audience. Really, that just showed me that if she can do it, I can do it, And I think that was really what put the power in my back and really told me, like, I think I want to try out this entrepreneurship. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know when it's going to start. But I know that that's definitely a part of my journey. And so along that route, I knew that I was also going to go to college, right? I wasn't going to just jump into entrepreneurship as soon as I got to college. So after high school, I wound up going to the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, and that's when I moved out of my hometown for the second time. So I moved out, I got away. I was like, I just need to go and be free and go make new friends and, just start a new chapter in my life for this, this second part, me going into my college career. And it was fun. I majored in fashion merchandising with a minor in business. But throughout the years, I realized I didn't want to be a merchandiser or a buyer or anything of that nature. But I was in love with fashion, so I kept that, and I kept my major in business because I definitely knew I was going to go into business. And so what wound up happening is for my sophomore year, I came back home. I transferred to LSU. And let me tell y'all, okay, so me and my mom pulled up to LSU, right? I applied everything, but I had never even seen the campus. I lived in Louisiana for 20 something years and I never saw the campus. And so me and my mom pulled up and we was like, bruh, what is going on? It's just so funny looking back. And I have another story that's actually hilarious. The first night, I thought I just made a huge mistake. But yeah, we'll tell that story at a later date. But during that time of my sophomore year, I was really just trying to figure out, like, what is it, like, it's time to do something. So I had an internship. So like I said, I had a bunch of internships, right? So one internship that I had in New York, this was my sophomore year. I had been at LSU for like a year, something like that. And I wound up having an internship. And so I didn't really like the internship. I think I had 2 internships actually that year. I was working with a big magazine company, and then I was also working at this showroom for fashion, which was my major, because I always said I want to be ahead of the curve. Like, everyone was like, oh, you're doing internships too soon, too fast. But I was like, how can you tell me that? Like, no one can never let people put a limitation on yourself. Like, never let someone tell you you're doing something too fast or you're ahead of yourself. Like, no, like, you do things at your own pace because you're your own person. Just because that's fast for them doesn't mean that that's fast for you, because everyone moves at their own speed. And so I always told myself I need to be ahead. I have to put myself on a different type of caliber. So I already had one internship under my belt going into college. So I was like, why not the first year? Why not have another internship, right? So I had 2 internships this year, and I wound up getting accepted into, well, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. I transferred to LSU. Then that summer I had an internship. From there, I applied to Canal Street Mercantile, right? So this was a group, they were gonna pick 25 students, right, to be a part of this elite group where they would have different people in the fashion industry, different people that were like on TV shows, the founder of New Orleans Fashion Week, they had people that own clothing brands, and they also had people that were designers and different things of that nature, just a bunch of different people that were in the fashion industry. And I was like, I really have to be a part of this group, because this will be a way for me to, get more peers and really be a part of something that's bigger than myself. And so I wound up applying to this group, right? So I applied to this group, and it had been like 6 months later. I had got, nobody called back, nobody emailed me back. So I was like, maybe I just didn't get it, because I had heard from a friend that one of her friends had got accepted into the program. So I was like, well, maybe they just didn't pick me, But this is why you cannot always, like, you can't count yourself out, because I'm sitting at this internship. I vividly remember this. I am in New York City, right? I'm sitting at this internship in this showroom, and I'm talking to myself. It's early in the morning. I'm dreading this internship because, let's just be honest, they didn't give me as many opportunities as they should have. They gave it to someone else. And, they had me doing mundane tasks. And I was just like, this is not fair. Like, really, what's going on? I'm doing this to learn, but I really wasn't learning or progressing at this fashion showroom. And so what wound up happening is I'm sitting at this desk early in the morning, and I'm like, I really don't like this internship. It's not teaching me anything. I don't feel like I'm growing here. They don't appreciate me, and I feel like I didn't even get to be a part of this program. So now I'm a transfer student. I didn't get to be a part. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't get to be a part of this program. I don't like this internship. And things are just really not working in my favor right now, even though I'm in one of the best cities in the world, right? But I wasn't feeling everything at that moment. So I remember I opened my email, I opened up my laptop, I look at my email to check my email, right? And then I saw that that program wound up accepting me. And it was funny because I was telling myself, I'm like, how could they not accept me? Because when I tell you that my application was like, y'all, I'm like a low-key perfectionist. My application was like, it was, nothing's perfect, but it was elite. Like, it was really good. I was like, I know that I had to get this opportunity, and because I deserve it, you know? And so I was like, wow, things are really looking up, because I was like, I'm looking forward to going back to school now, going back to LSU, even though I was a transfer student. I'm like, I'm looking forward to this next semester to let this be, you know, let this be a little stepping stone in the next semester. And I got accepted. I was super happy. I was like, bump this internship. I'm just gonna take what I can, get the best out of it, and make the most out of it, you know? So I went back home, and I wound up, like I said, I got the program. It was so fun. The first meeting we had a challenge, and it was like a content creation challenge, and I wound up winning it. And so I was like, I am finally feeling good about everything, you know? So that just really gave me a lot of hope. And I was like, I'm finally somewhere where I feel more appreciated, more seen, and I'm happier here, you know? So I'm like, things are looking up. So I win that, that's great. It was only for like a semester, so it was like, you know, 6 months, and we met once a month. But I remember at one of the meetings, this is really what made me start my entrepreneurial journey. One of the meetings we had, one of the mentors, they asked everyone in the group, they said, I want you to raise your hand if you ever thought about starting a business, starting a blog, you know, just starting something. And everyone raised their hand, right? So then they said, how many of y'all have actually started? And one person raised their hand, and it wasn't me. I hadn't started anything at that point. So I was just like, wow. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, there are so many people that want to start something, but they don't go after their dreams. They don't go after what they really want, you know? And so from that moment on, I said, wow, this was my biggest takeaway at the final meeting. And I said, I'm gonna start a blog. So I started thefashionfiend.com. Everyone was calling me Fashion Fiend, you know, but it was a lifestyle blog where I talked about myself, I talked about beauty, I talked about my lifestyle. And I wound up getting a few paid promo to promote different brands, different beauty brands, skincare brands, feminine brands. And it was fun, you know, don't get me wrong, like it was fun. I was making some money because I'm in college, like, you know, I'm getting some money, it's cool. But I said, I know deep down that there's a bigger purpose in this. Like, it's much bigger than this. It's much bigger than me just sharing my lifestyle, you know? So I wound up creating a couple t-shirts that had empowering sayings that was just like, let me think of one. And one was like, never settle, you know? So it was like these like shirts that just had these simple but yet empowering statements on them, because I was like, let's just start there, you know, like you always got to start somewhere. You don't start at the top of the mountain, you know, like you start at the bottom of the mountain and you work your way up. So I made these shirts, and what wound up happening was, after I made the shirts, I put them on the site, and so I was like, okay, so it's time to push these shirts, but I'm also still doing the blog, right? And then I got to a point where it was a couple months into the blog, and I told myself, I'm ready to go to the next level. So I said, let's drop the blog and let's just focus on e-commerce. So I dropped the fashion and I turned it into Fiend. And in hindsight, when you think about it, it's like, okay, what do I really want to do with this e-commerce brand? And why Fiend, right? Why Fiend? Because it was like, I was addicted to fashion. That's why I named it the Fashion Fiend. But I said, everyone is addicted to something, whether it be good or bad, whether it makes them better or makes them worse. Everyone is addicted to something, and we all have our vices, right? So, like I said prior, my father was addicted to alcohol. So my father was a fiend for alcohol, and that addiction led him to being a paraplegic. You know, that addiction led him to a condition that he can no longer change and I can no longer change, you know, but I accepted the reality of that and I let it empower me. I didn't let that pain stop me from, you know, from building. I let that pain empower me to be better and encourage people to do better and be better. And so I said, we're gonna go with fiend and we're gonna empower people to fiend for their dreams. My mom actually helped me create the first motto, which was Hustle, Grind, Rewind, for the brand. And it was like, it's so funny thinking, wow, my father, he helped me create the name of my brand. And then my mom helped me create Hustle, Grind, Rewind, the motto of my brand. And so then I started focusing on Hustle, Grind, Rewind. I started focusing on that mission and that message. And from there, like I said, I went to New York every single summer and I wound up just making so many different type of connections. I started going to so many different type of fashion events. I started being a part of New Orleans Fashion Week, and that really helped my fashion career. I learned so many things from all these different experiences and I started meeting so many different people in so many areas so they could help me build my own dreams, you know, so I could eventually encourage people to build their own dreams and fiend for their dreams. And so it just was promoting my brand everywhere, at tailgates, at parties. I would go there, I would set up a table, I would talk to people about my brand, talk to people about it and, you know, really promote my products because I was like, it's bigger than me and I have to start now. If I want to be ahead in life, I have to start now. I can't wait. So it's like, never wait on your dreams. Never be the person that, never be the reason why you don't start today, you know? Never hold yourself back in life because you're only going to regret it later and you're going to wish that you started sooner. So here we are now today in New York. And yeah, so that was the first episode of Kate Hayez, aka Kate the Great. And y'all, I am so excited for this journey. Now that y'all know who I am, you know, I got a little deep with y'all. Let me know who you are. Please comment, like, subscribe. And yes, I have a masterclass in New York on September 30th, how to actually turn your pain into profits. And we talk so much about really just how to turn your tragedies into triumphs, how to overcome the limiting beliefs that you place upon yourself, how to start your business. I help you start the 5 first steps of actually starting your business. And yeah, go to katehayez.com. You can also check out Building Your Dreams So You Can Live the Life You Want at katehayez.com. And you can also go to fiendofficial.com and you can follow us on Instagram at fiendofficial and follow me at Kate Hayez. And yeah, till next time.